or who wasn't here. Okay, so a few people. Okay, just to welcome you and welcome all the people from Ustream. I'm April Rochelle from Bashar Communications, and we've been having a lot of fun. We've entered into a new realm of information and experience, a story in a sense, but also something that's also very real in terms of the future. And this has been our opportunity to get more acclimated to these alternative realities and parallel realities. Today's session is entitled The Winter Spirit, and Willa will take us on a journey of understanding more about nature spirits and the actual winter spirit itself that's represented to some degree by the Christmas spirit, I guess, or Santa Claus. So we will see more about that. All right, so here we go. Thank you again, Darryl and Bashar, for taking us on this fun journey. We love it.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to get started, so have a good time and see y'all later. All right, we'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you. And once again, thank you for the co-creation of this interaction and the gift that you are giving to us in allowing us to experience each and every one of you as a different facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation, or as Willa might put it, as all the different shards of the shattered mirror. Now, before we facilitate Willa to speak to you about the winter spirit and the elementals, we would like to add a little, well, we'll call it a little bonus monologue. In that she explained to you in the transmission last night of your time the idea of the 5 levels of mastery, being the cryptic, the nocturnal, the shapeshifter, the sage, and the wraith, being represented symbolically by the triangle of the mountain of earth, the connection to earth, by the wavy line, the nocturnals, in the night, the secrets, the wavy line of the water, the emotional depths therein, the arch of the sky representing the shapeshifters to represent the changing weather patterns, the idea of the circle representing the sage, which represents space and the void, and the idea of the dot, which represents the wraith, which is spirit and source. There is also a crossover direct analogy between the 5 levels of mastery and the 5 laws. Number 1, you exist. The level of the cryptic, it is a statement of your existence on earth, a connection and an expression of your life as it is, in the way that you are familiar. Law number 2, everything is here and now. Thus, in the level of the nocturnal, connecting into parallel realities, it is the beginning of the awareness that everything exists all at once and that you can connect to those parallel realities. Law number 3, the one is the all are the one, representing the ability of the shapeshifter to call upon those parallel versions of themselves and represent them to others, actually appearing to turn into those other representations and demonstrating that the one is the all and the all are the one, and it is all interchangeable reflections of each other. The 4th law, what you put out is what you get back, being represented by the sage, who can actually call upon those parallel realities and actually transform entire environments into other worlds, other realities, manifest things out of the void, out of apparently thin air, putting out that vibration that allows them to relate to other realities so strongly that they can transmit that vibration to others so that they can perceive the changes in that reality too. And the 5th law, everything changes except the laws, being represented by the wraith, who thus bridges physical and non-physical reality, matter and spirit, and can call upon the idea of changing the template, the very foundational underlying blueprint of physical reality, to manifest all sorts of transformations, not only in the physical world, but in spirit as well, simultaneously turning physical reality into a living spiritual dream. So the 5 laws correspond very directly to the idea of the expressions of the 5 levels of mastery. Just so you have a more complete picture of the system that is in existence and the knowledge that is expressed 700 years in your future by Willa and many of the hybrids that exist at that time blended into your society on its way to becoming fully the 6th hybrid race. Do you understand? All right. I guess not all of you do. The idea, therefore, is we will now facilitate Willa so that she can discuss with you, share with you the idea of the winter spirit and the elementals as it relates to the concept of your historical understanding and transformation of the winter spirit into the representation, the symbol that you now call Santa Claus. One moment. All right then, good day to you, dearies. How are you all? Oh, all right. Let us begin this way then, to understand that long ago, even as you count time, humans on your planet had more sensitivity than they express in your contemporary time frame to the idea of nature, when they lived in nature in a more natural way, as you would say, and that they were able to, at least to some degree, sense the presence of the elementals. Now, let us explain before we go on. Elementals can express and have what you would perceive and experience as a physicality of a sort, but many of them are also shapeshifters, and it is from the elementals that the idea of the masteries were developed and that the abilities of the shapeshifters were acquired and learned from them in the beginning. But the idea is that the elementals can manifest themselves in many ways physiologically and sometimes in different forms. But the idea is that they are not exactly physical as you understand physicality. They are part of the nature of your world, of our world, of the earth, what you may call Gaia. They are part of that consciousness expressing itself in a variety of archetypal ways. For consciousness can express itself and divide itself and project itself in a variety of groupings or individualities according to whatever is required by the mass consensus experience. And elementals, for lack of a better term, are like portions of the collective consciousness and the electromagnetic energy that is associated with the earth, condensing into a form and expression of consciousness that can then sort of wrap itself in the concept of physical reality, but isn't really born in the way you are born as a physical being, nor do they really die in the way that you die as a physical being. They're more like a constant fluctuation of the consciousness that is associated collectively with your world, from the world, of the world, by the world. And they can, perhaps, again, more aptly, like bubbles in a boiling pot, pop up here and there, using the medium of the water, the electromagnetic energy, to temporarily form the idea of a consolidated focal point that you would recognize in the water as a bubble, but recognize in nature as an elemental. This is why many of them can exist for many hundreds of years, even thousands of years of your time of counting. But the idea is that when they come into being and when they transition into other states, it is more like what the Bashar civilization now experiences, where they are a consolidation very rapidly, where poof, as you say, they are there, and poof, as you say, they are gone. Even though they may linger for a long time. But that consciousness can reform itself like clay, like being molded into other forms and express itself. And so elementals can, in that sense, experience a shift of identities in much the same way that you might allow more of your true being to come through you from time to time saying that you are truly a different person now, but still recognize a connection, a continuity that you may create. Well, elementals have a little bit less of that continuity. They can flow and change in form and become this and that and appear and disappear in a variety of ways, but they experience that continuity in a very different way than you do. Now that you sort of have a little bit of a picture of the fact that they are certainly far more ephemeral than you're used to seeing in a being that you relate to. In those past times of your counting, humans were more sensitive and more capable of recognizing that elementals existed and sometimes could actually interact with them in a variety of ways. And over time, as your civilization changed and focused on different things, you became less and less aware of the elementals as an actual presence that you could interact with, and many of them became what you would call mythologized and told in your stories in a variety of ways. And sometimes there were different interpretations about what they could do or what they were or what they were all about, some of which remained relatively accurate according to their temperaments, and some of which really spun into stories that almost have nothing at all to do with what they do and who they are and how they live. Nevertheless, you retain the idea of the elementals in your stories enough, sufficiently enough, that you never really lost sight of the fact that you are on some level aware that there are other levels of reality even within your own, other divisions of consciousness, even within what you call the world, and that there are many things that are invisible to you that are around you all the time. But now in this day and age, as you call your contemporary time of transformation, there is the ability to regain those senses again, to expand your senses to the point where you can begin, and have begun in many cases, to know that those elementals do exist among you, have their own reality, their own world, in a sense, blended in, intermingled, intertwined with your own. And bit by bit, as you expand your consciousness and move down through your timeline further and further, you will begin to experience that these beings still do exist, and they will make themselves known to you in a variety of ways as you become more aware and more capable of perceiving and interacting with them. One in particular that we will address this day of your time is what is typically referred to as the winter spirit. Now, it does have a name of old, an ancient name. And in the area in which I live, even though this winter spirit can appear in many different ways around the world in different cultures, in my area of what you would call the Ireland in your time, you will find that it is known by an ancient name of Kerinos. Kerinos. This being is generally described as having elements of a human form, but also elements of animal form, a kind of face that might be reminiscent of what you would call a blend of human and elk, and it does have the expression of large elk-like antlers, and it does have the expression of the cloven hooves, and it does have certain other elements to it that would be considered sort of fawn-like or of a nature in the sense of what the being you know as Pan or Puck in that sense. But it is a rather large elemental because its energy is very great and it represents the season itself. And its focal point is the winter solstice that you are about to experience in your timeline. But the idea of Kerinos is that it is, to use an ancient term, a kind of a karmic elemental. It is a fourth law elemental, specifically geared to that vibration of what you put out is what you get back. It is that kind of a reflective elemental. And in ancient times, even ancient to you, it expressed this in the way that those that were positive to it, kind to it, loving to it, would receive that in return. But those that were of foul heart within themselves and mean disposition would find that reflected back to them by this fourth law elemental in a variety of ways that represented the concept that became known to you as karma. Because it is simply, again, the fourth law of what you put out is what you get back. And this being can amplify, magnify, and reflect that to you once you engage within that level of consciousness with it. Over time, as you began to lose the sense of the being itself, the winter spirit in its original form, its original expression, as Kerinos, and you drifted away from your knowledge that these beings existed among you, and it began to fade back into its own reality to the point where you could no longer really perceive it in the same way that your ancestors did. But remembering that such encounters did occur, you began to weave different kinds of expressions or different kinds of stories about this being. One of the first that you created was the idea of splitting the being in two, to recognize its positive side and recognize its negative side. Now, again, we remind you that when we talk about the idea of positive and negative, like the Bashar, this is not a value judgment, but it is simply a description of the mechanics of positive energy being that which integrates and expands, and negative energy being that which segregates and disconnects in the experience. But the idea is that this then became separated into two different beings. Still the original idea of the winter spirit, but then the negative side was embodied in a concept and another being altogether that was given the antlers in the form of horns, still had the cloven hooves, still had some animal aspects to its features, but this being was given a new name, and that name was Krampus. Krampus then became the embodiment of the idea of the negative side, while the positive side was then begun to be associated with other things that came into your society, religious ideas, other forms of spiritual expression. And in the idea of your European area, you will find that it began to be associated with the concept of saints, and in particular the idea of the being you know as Saint Claus. But having been divided in this way, it was also then Krampus being associated with the negative polarity of those that believed in the idea of heaven and hell. And thus Krampus also became the embodiment of the devil in that way. For it had the cloven hooves and it had the horns. The idea also is that it was a being of mischief in that sense, in the negative way, reflecting the negativity. But this also continued to evolve in the idea becoming a little bit more benign in what became Sinterklaas, where Krampus began to be forgotten. And again, the idea of forming the list and checking it twice to find out who's naughty and find out who's nice. So that became simply an idea that evolved into, or shall we say devolved into, a simple list, a checklist of who was either a good boy or a good girl or a bad boy or a bad girl. Allowing the idea to come into some other religious form and go in a different direction and focus on the idea of the giving of gifts and the giving of presents, which originally was the concept of simply making loving offerings to the original Kerinos, winter spirit, and receiving in return the idea of also gifts and offerings to carry beings through the winter, to help support them through the ice and the snow, because the winter spirit, in a sense, could also be represented of that which could control those things, those realities, and allow there to be an easing of those elements that you might experience in the winter time in harsh climes. But understand that there is still that remnant of making those offerings, because even to this day, many of you will leave milk and cookies for Santa Claus. Now, of course, in your society, it has continued to evolve into something, of course, that you would consider to be quite commercial. For you understand that the Santa Claus you know today is purely an invention in terms of the look, in terms of what it does and how it does it. But it still contains that seed and it contains that remnant. It contains, even as a mythology, the connection all the way back to the winter spirit, who, when offered the idea of gifts, would give gifts in return, and who, when presented with foul temperament, would offer foul storms in return. So you can see through the progression of forgetting your connection to nature and no longer being able to interact directly with the winter spirit in the ways of old, that you have allowed this to become something which is a surface feature only, a mythology, a presentation that serves you in the way that your society is now structured. But as you go through the transformations that you are now going through in your society, and you open up to the idea that your senses can expand and begin to interact once again with the heretofore invisible that's always around you, of other realities and other levels of consciousness within the earth itself, you will begin to honor again, you will begin to own again, you will begin to experience again those interactions. But I will tell you, when you come upon Kerinos, you will find that it will be a very powerful energy. For again, it is the energy itself of winter, the energy itself of the solstice, and that crossing threshold will become more and more meaningful to many of you as you advance in your development toward the idea of the sixth hybrid race. For in our time, upline 700 years from you, in what you call your future, Kerinos is a being that we interact with all the time. It is a presence that we can actually experience in a very physical way, as with many of the other elementals. What you may call the pukas and the sylphs and the gnomes and the silkies and many other beings that exist in different rarefied realms and express themselves as shapeshifters, taking on different forms to represent the kind of energies that they interact with in your reality. They are symbolic beings that can physicalize themselves, archetypal energies and archetypal consciousnesses that can actually physicalize themselves and take on very unusual forms that you would think to be physically impossible. But the only reason they are possible is because they are not physical in the way that you are, though they can express themselves in a very physical and solid way, sufficient enough to interact with them in the physical plane. So these elementals, being that nature, will also be beneficial for reminding you of your own nature and that you are truly walking in a dream, that physical reality is a dream and another expression of a greater archetype of the Gaia collective consciousness energy, of which you are also an expression, even though you express it in a more physicalized way. So as you reclaim your own natural selves, you will also reclaim and express a part of your being and a part of your consciousness that is also vibrationally connected to the elementals. For you contain that as well. For you contain everything that exists in nature. And everything is a symbol and a reflection and a shard of that shattered mirror that has broken into an infinite number of parts and reflect back to you in an infinite number of ways all the different aspects that you are, that you can vibrate in harmony with, that you can adapt and adopt into yourselves to express yourselves as the greater being as you walk through the dream of physical life. Is what we're saying making some sense to you? Yes. All right. Therefore, at this time, either I or the Bashar will be happy to interact with each and every one of you if you have any particular thing that you would like to chat about today. Please, by all means, you may proceed.
Hello, Willa.
And good day, Cookie.
I used to have these dreams where I would go into these the color green pools. The water was just like the green on the background there. And then they became like caves. And then I would see doors, green doors opening in trees. I wonder if you have anything to say about that. Is there any significance to that dream?
This is to some degree what we were discussing last night of your time, as you understand your time. The idea of connecting cryptically to nature and opening those doors of communication to things that you don't necessarily think are capable of communicating with you. such as the trees. So it's making a connection on a higher level, vibrationally speaking, to other kinds of beings and other expressions of beings in nature with whom you can learn to communicate and receive information that can serve you in your life. You understand? Going deep within yourself is what is symbolized by the cave within you. And finding the trees within is what symbolizes your connection to nature and your ability to open those doors to other realms and see and enter those realms vibrationally so that you can match the frequencies that give you more ability to receive information from all beings and all reflections in nature. That is how we would see that particular experience for you. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Is there anything else then?
No, thank you.
All right. Are you clapping for yourselves then? You did a good job. Is that what you're doing? All right.
Hi, dear one.
And to you, good day to you.
Celebrate talking to you.
And you as well.
Thank you. I was curious, you were talking about elemental beings, and I think you did that in a very coherent way that I'll continue to review.
Well, all right. Thank you so very much. It's nice to know that one can be coherent.
Thank you. I was interested to also ask, just because I was excited to ask, is there dreamer dolphins or dolphin consciousness in upline in your timeline?
Yes, of course there are. There are dreamer dolphins, and we interact with them as well.
How do they express themselves differently to how they do in our current Earth timeline?
Well, they don't really express themselves so much differently as we are simply capable of clear communication with them and understand them fully.
Oh, beautiful.
So it's about the practice that you're doing to learn how to receive and get into a telepathic contact with them by matching those frequencies so that you can also practice understanding the deeper conversations that are going on. Because there are many levels to a dolphin and a whale conversation, more than just what you might understand on the surface. They live in the depths of the sea, and because they live in those depths, and because gravity to them is not what it is to you, you find that their way of communicating actually contains many different levels and operates on many different levels and communicates different information the deeper you go. So you need to learn to understand how to dive deeper in your connections with them so that you can get the fullness of the communication that they are sharing with you. But they understand now in your time frame that they need to deliver the first layer so that you can begin to sensitize yourself to their frequency. And as you become more accomplished at that, they will also then give off vibrations that allow you to go deeper and deeper into the conversation. And especially with the dreamer dolphins, then until you are so deep in the conversation that you are dreaming together with them and don't know whether they are the human and you are the dolphin, or they are the dolphin and you are the human, it can become a real bonding experience, and it is something that we enjoy in our time.
That sounds wonderful.
It is.
And by going
Or I would not have described it to you that way.
Yeah, I really appreciate you describing that. By going deeper, are you saying going deeper into yourself?
Of course. That's always
not
the
into
key.
the ocean, or both, like...
Again, anything external is the symbol of the internal.
Yeah.
The deeper you go within your own self, the deeper you will go in the consciousness of the reality that appears to be around you, but which you know is actually within. Because there is nothing around you. That's a projection, it's a reflection, it's an illusion. It's all within you.
You told me yesterday to have a holistic... I interpreted it to have a holistic approach, so...
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the holistic view contains all the details that can simply fall into place automatically as they arrange themselves within and take their cue from the holistic view. Rather than working the details and trying to figure out where they fit, allow the template of the holistic view to simply arrange them as befits the whole. Then everything will fall into place quite nicely, quite neatly. It's really no different than understanding a recipe. For the idea is that in the beginning, if you are cooking, you may focus on the ingredients individually. But as you become a master chef, You understand that you have the end result already pictured in mind, and everything sort of happens automatically to manifest that holistic experience.
Okay, so the state of being is in mind and then it holistically manifests?
The state of being itself contains all of the detailed
It's
vibrations.
inherent within it. Yeah.
And it is that energy that encourages everything to then come together in the proper way.
Oh, fantastic.
That's why we call you all cookies.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. It's so fabulous to be back in New York. It really is. Thank you so much. So I'm April Rochelle from Bashar Communications, and we really are thrilled that we're able to come out here this weekend and see all of you and give you a chance to have contact with Bashar. So it should be a really exciting day. The name of the session today is entitled The Precursors. And the precursors are intermediary beings that are apparently here on Earth that are sort of paving the way for the hybrid children to come here in the future. So how many people here are experiencing Bashar for the first time in person? Ooh. We thought it was pretty amazing that he chose a topic that's, pretty ET, yeah? But I guess that didn't stop everybody from coming. Anyway, so yeah, we're really excited to be here. And of course, I want to say hello to all the people from Ustream that are joining us from all around the world. So we're going to have our own little collective energy bubble here on planet Earth, or off planet Earth, I guess. Okay, so we're just going to show you a couple of brief videos. The first one is about the contact crystal, something Bashar introduced a couple of years ago, and I'll just let the video speak for itself.
The charged crystals that represent the idea of contact. These being the permission slip that have been entitled Ethithani contact crystals or seeds of contact. The idea being that on my world, this crystal represents the center point of a larger crystal array that is created to represent all of the consciousnesses and all of the worlds in the interstellar alliance of which we are a part and of which you are becoming a part.
Bashar has been in some sessions explaining more about his own life, his own experiences on his planet. When he was very young, he was shown a large piece of artwork that contains many different kinds of crystals, and each crystal represents one of the civilizations that's part of their association of worlds. Now, the central crystal he described is a hexagon that is dark green in color. It's larger than this, but this is basically a replica of that crystal as he described it to us. There is a symbol inscribed on the crystal, which is a triangular symbol that has a spiral in the middle of it. This symbol, Bashar described, is actually his family crest. It represents his family's lineage as contact specialists. So Bashar suggested that if we made replicas, even if they're smaller, of this central crystal, What he did then is he did a special meditation that actually comes with every crystal on a DVD that's for the purpose of charging the crystal with the specific frequency of contact. So when you have one of these and you use the meditation, it is actually charged with the particular frequency that represents his civilization and the particular frequency that represents their initial contact with us. Bashar has basically said that, charging one of these with your own energy and the energy that's in the meditation that he gave is kind of like casting your vote specifically for contact. So if you're interested in acquiring one of these, by all means, please ask the people at the back table to give you the information. It comes in this lovely box along, like I said, with the DVD. And so please check out the information at the back table.
Okay, and why is the contact crystal a hexagon?
It supports the idea, very specifically, that what is attached to it, around it, as the central hexagonal crystal, are 6 others, which represent the 6 hybrid races, and altogether the 7th. Earth being the 6th hybrid race. We are the 3rd. But altogether, the 6 and the 1 in the center will be representative of the 7th hybrid race, when all 6 hybrid races exist and blend together into the 7th. That's the core of our common evolution and what we share as family and where we're going into what you call the future. Together.
So there are various crystals that we have at the table in the back. All of them come with an activation DVD. The contact crystal comes with a contact activation DVD, and the dolphin crystals come with a dolphin activation. So the next video we're going to show you has to do with the dolphins, which of course is a subject near and dear to my heart. We have a community of wild spinner dolphins in Hawaii that come into shore every day, and a community has developed there of people who are interacting with the dolphins on a consistent basis, swimming with them, interacting with each other, because it's actually a community of dolphin people. And every February, I do a workshop that's a combined workshop of guided meditations that were created by Bashar for swimming with the dolphins. The idea being that dolphin contact, communication with dolphins and whales is a helpful method of getting prepared for interaction with extraterrestrial species. And so we create a group there where we go into sort of an Esasani bubble reality, where you spend your days doing meditations with Bashar and swimming with wild dolphins for 4 hours. And that workshop is coming in February. The humpback whales will be in also. And right now they're actually trying to stop us from swimming with the dolphins, and they're trying to alienate the humans from the dolphins. So we're working to get that changed. So at the moment, the only workshop that we have set up is the one that's coming in February. So if that's something on your bucket list or something you'd like to do, this would really be the time to do it. So we'd like to show you a short video of what it's like to go on the dolphin workshop.
right back to me. I'm not expecting you to understand. You're never gonna find me back on land. Oh, and the timing's right, you'll slide right back to me. All those moments together I do treasure. It doesn't really get any better. I wish I could have stayed with you for the rest of my day.
Effortlessly and joyfully slipping through the sea. Streamlined like a dolphin, streamlined like a whale. Weaving, diving, bobbing, smoothly gliding, effortlessly through life, slipping through the sea.
I wanna glide through the open sea, side by side with you next to me. Oh, and the timing's right, you'll glide right back to me. I wanna slide through the ocean blue, right beside you, 2 by 2. Oh, and the timing's right, you'll slide right back to me. Oh, you be my guide as we're slipping through the sea. All those moments together I do treasure. It doesn't really get any better. I wish I could have stayed with you for the rest of my day.
In unity, in harmony, in joy and in love, you drift into the depths of the deep blue sea.
Oh, and the timing's right, you'll slide right back to me. As we're slipping through the sea.
So, and it really is that much fun. You get that close to them, and they swim right up to you and play games with you. It's really amazing. Yes, we have some people here that have been in the dolphin workshop, so they can tell you. And then also, closer to home for you guys, we have a whale workshop that we do in the Dominican Republic. It's called the Whales of Atlantis. It is a 1-week live aboard experience where you actually get in the water and have soft in-water encounters with the humpback whales. So if you've ever been face-to-face with a 45-foot whale in the water, it's awesome. And they are the oversoul of the dolphins. So the kind of energy you're dealing with there, and Bashar takes us through a series of guided meditations. We're 80 miles out to sea in the Silverbank, a humpback whale sanctuary, and they're giving birth to their babies, and we get to be with their babies. They use us as babysitters. It's actually pretty cool. So anyway, I hope if you're interested that you will join us. So I know it's time to get started for what everyone came here for, and that is, I'd like to introduce to you the very gifted channel for Bashar, Darryl Anka. Okay, so are you ready to go to sleep?
Yes.
He has the hardest
I
job
flew
on the
all the way
planet.
here just to go to sleep.
He's not really asleep. I mean, his brain, they've wired his brain now to see what he looks like in his brain when he channels. And his brain is very active, obviously. And Darryl is having his own experience, basically. But it looks to us like he's asleep. Although I have to tell you, recently I have noticed that when you're channeling, I keep thinking you're standing in the back of the room.
I might be. I don't know.
Yeah, give me a sign next time if you're standing back there.
Waving and waving, but nobody can
It's
see
the
me.
oddest phenomenon, isn't it? Not only that, there are two personalities coming through one body. That's always interesting too.
People used to wind up in sanitariums for that.
So I know you all are eager to get started, so I would just like to thank you, Darryl, from myself and everyone here for opening up this doorway for us and sharing this information. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And I will see you later. Have a good time.
But it'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, all right. Thank you. First and foremost, we will once again, as always, thank each and every one of you and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission on this day in this way. Each time you afford us the opportunity to interact with all of you, we get to experience that many more facets of the multidimensional crystal of creation that each of you represent. And so we thank you for the gift of expanding our understanding of all the ways that creation can express itself. We would like to begin this transmission with the title, The Precursors. Now, we have recently sent a transmission talking about the idea of first contact protocols, the stages, the phases that our civilization goes through in contacting another civilization, such as yours. And somewhere on that list, there will usually be the beings that become involved that we refer to as the precursors. What this generally is are beings that are born on your planet, but have had experiences and encounters in such a way so that their genetic markers are slightly altered toward a little bit more expression of the idea of the hybrid beings that you understand to be the children that will ultimately live among you on Earth in the years to come. These beings, these precursors, will wander through your society, some of them understanding who they are, many of them not necessarily understanding who they are, what they are, but they will carry enough of the hybrid frequency so that if you should pass by them or they by you, you will pick up on something that feels a little bit unusual, a little bit different. The idea is that they are, by walking among you, getting you used to the idea of the hybrid vibration, which is actually many times stronger than the frequency they are giving off, but you are getting a flavor, a taste, a hint of that frequency, not only to help you acclimate to that vibration, which ultimately will be living among all of you, but also to gauge your response, your reaction to that energy, to see how it is that you are capable or not of integrating that energy within yourself, and thus using that as a barometer to indicate when you might actually be ready for contact with beings that are a little closer to the idea of the true hybrid vibration. Because as we have said before, the idea is that everyone operates at a certain signature frequency, and if you are not vibrationally compatible with frequencies that may in some sense be a little bit more accelerated, a little bit higher than what might be average or typical on your planet, it can actually cause a little bit of imbalance, a little bit of psychic shock within you, as certain compartmentalized concepts and belief systems within you may, by the higher vibration, be forced to the surface, forced to integrate before you are ready to integrate them in a natural way. So the precursors are giving a little bit of a push, a little bit of an indication of the kind of vibration that you may ultimately be dealing with, but it is first and foremost more important that it act toward your ability to integrate more of yourself, to feel an acceleration within yourself that brings to the surface any belief systems within you in an unconscious way that will exist within your personality structure that might be out of alignment with your true vibration, to give you the time, to give you the opportunity to integrate those things, to deal with those things, to identify them, and to let go of those things that do not work for you, that do not serve you in your life, so that by letting them go, you can add their energy to your overall expansion, your overall excitement, and accelerate and raise the frequency of your vibration to make you more compatible with those beings called the hybrids who will ultimately come to live among you. So there can be a smoother integration, a smoother acclimation, a smoother relationship between you. Does this make sense? Not to all of you? All right. So, sometimes, therefore, even though there aren't that many of them in your overall society, sometimes some of you, now and then, may catch a glimpse out of the corner of your eye, someone standing across the street on a corner that looks like they don't quite belong here, or feels like they don't quite fit in. Now, of course, we understand you have many people on your planet that may give you that sense. But obviously, we are talking about a very specific vibration here. You'll understand it when you perceive it. It will feel like something other than what you're used to. It will seem truly a bit out of place. It won't, in that sense, necessarily be frightening or anything like that, but you may feel yourself, when you may encounter such beings, feeling slightly displaced, slightly disoriented by the vibration. This is usually a sign that you're standing in the vibrational resonance of a precursor. They may hang around a little bit, they may just pass you by. You may not even see them physically, but you may suddenly find that strange little disorientation, that strange little dizziness that suddenly places your mind elsewhere, suddenly gets you to start thinking about the idea of places other than your own world. These are usually the symptoms of close proximity to a precursor. The idea, again, is that should that happen, should you have that feeling, and of course the precursors are not the only reason why you may experience that, because each and every one of you is accelerating in your own right, at your own pace, in your own way, and may disorient yourself from your reality, your typical average reality, quite often anyway, as you accelerate and raise your frequency. But should you find yourself in that position, allow yourself to drift with it, allow yourself to sit with it, become comfortable with it, and allow it to take you into a new orientation. Allow it to bring into your mind the things that you need to perceive, the things that you need to focus on, the things you need to think about that have to do with who it is you prefer to be, what kind of a world you prefer to have, and the willingness that is within you to expand your reality in ways that heretofore might have seemed like fantasies of the imagination, but ultimately will become your everyday experience. As you come closer and closer and closer and closer to expressing more of your true selves and your true vibration, and let go of those things, those resistances, those negative belief-based systems that do not serve you, and as you accept and allow more of your true expression into your life to be expressed outwardly, to allow those linkages, those connections, those energy lines, those downloads, that information to reach you through your synchronicity, that will be a self-perpetuating guidance system for you, an organizing principle for you through life, then you will find that your senses will begin to expand in such a manner that you may actually be capable of starting to perceive things that were heretofore hidden, heretofore invisible to you. And the next time you may come across such a precursor, you may then, with those expanded senses, know exactly who you're looking at, and they may recognize you. And that will help with that mirroring back and forth cause another level of amplification when you become more self-aware and more aware of what's actually happening all around you, because there are a lot of things going on all around you that you are unaware of, a lot of things that are invisible that will become visible. So don't be too startled when your senses begin to perceive different kinds of levels of energy or different kinds of beings, or where you might actually be able to pierce into parallel realities and see things that most people may not see. If you think you're going crazy, that's all right. It's a good kind of crazy. And it is, again, simply the symptomology of the expansion of your consciousness and the expansion of your senses. It's part of your natural evolution to begin to break down the barriers between what you consider to be the physical reality and what you will begin to perceive is the actual reality going on around you, about 99.999% of which you don't even pay attention to, but will begin to perceive and allow into your lives should you choose to continue on the journey of expanding your consciousness, which we will assume most of you will choose. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation with you. So we thank you for your boldness and your willingness to explore yourselves, to express yourselves, to be yourselves, your true selves, because even though we understand that sometimes many of you may struggle with this idea, the most difficult thing in truth to be is someone you are not. And that is what has caused all the difficulty, all the pain, strife, and struggle on your planet is resistance to being your natural selves. So we would urge you and encourage you to let go, because when you surrender to your true selves, you will actually discover you've been in control all along. Even when you feel out of control, you're controlling that because of your beliefs about what you believe is true for you, what you believe is probable for you, what you believe is relevant for you, what you believe you deserve, what you believe you are worth. The more you appreciate and value yourselves, the more capable you will be of expressing more of yourselves. And that will make all the difference in your world. So we thank you. And again, thank you for the gift you have given to us in the co-creation of this interaction today. And in return for that gift, we ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin your dialogue with questions if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So, my question is regarding to purpose.
Purpose.
Correct.
Your purpose?
Yes.
Same as everyone's purpose. To be yourself as fully as you can. The idea of acting on your highest excitement is an indication of the expression of your purpose, but your purpose is to be you as fully as you can. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that too simple?
Yes.
Then you may complicate it however you wish.
As human beings, before we come to this life and experience what we're experiencing, do
Yes.
we come with a pre-laid out path?
In some senses, many of you do, although it's not necessarily as rigid as you may think. There are certain themes that you decide to explore, and you could consider those themes a type of destiny, if you wish, but your free will determines how you will explore that theme. You can explore it happy, sad, upside down, backwards, forwards, fast or slow, whatever you wish, according to your free will. But you will explore the theme that you set out for yourselves because that's the definition of the life, the process you go through in discovering yourself from that particular angle, that particular path is the very essence of why you are you, as this particular persona in this life. So you work both ends of it, in a sense, by making a choice from a higher level and then making choices with your free will once you are in the idea of the physical experience, exploring the theme that was chosen from the other level. Now, of course, we're speaking about all of this from a linear point of view. From our perspective, everything exists all at once, and there really isn't a before and an after. But we understand that from your space-time perspective, it seems as if you are a spirit before the life, then you choose to have a life, then you die and leave the life. But that's just your perspective from a physical point of view. All these stages of your existence actually all exist simultaneously. But you don't have to worry about that right now.
Okay.
Does this help?
A little bit.
Anything else?
Yes. So, my mother tells me stories about my father that I never met, and he used to talk about aliens all the time to her.
Yes.
I never met him. I never talked to her about this until recently, and it's something that's always followed me from my childhood.
Yes.
I've had...
Well, it goes in family lines quite often.
Okay.
Back for generations and generations and generations.
So I've been watching your videos for a long time, and I always feel like there is a message that you might be able to help me out with.
The message that is the most important message we can possibly deliver to any of you is simply the three-part formula of act on your highest passion to the best you are able with absolutely zero insistence on what you think the outcome ought to look like. That's it. Because when you do that, you activate the kit of excitement that contains all the tools you need in life. It becomes the driving engine that propels you through life. It becomes the organizing principle through synchronicity that shows you exactly what you need to do, in what order, and when. It becomes the path of least resistance that allows you to flow through your life in an effortless way, a joyful way. It becomes the path that connects you to every expression of your excitement that is relevant for you to express in your life. It becomes the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within you that is out of alignment with that excitement, so you can identify it and let it go because it doesn't serve you, and add its energy to your overall excitement. It is the thing that supports you in all the ways you need to be supported in order to allow you to continue to act on your excitement to the best of your ability. And it will absolutely leave nothing relevant out. It is a complete kit. So when you act on the three-part formula, you activate that kit, and therefore, all you have to do from that point forward is to continue to act on the things that contain even just a little bit more excitement than any other option at that moment in your life, as best as you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further, with absolutely no assumption or insistence on what you think the outcome should look like, because that's actually a limitation on what could happen even more grandly than you imagined. And by doing that, and then every single circumstance that comes up as a result of the actions you take, just make sure you always know that it's there for a positive reason, and you will always get a positive effect from it, no matter how it looks. Even if something crops up that you don't prefer, if you know that that happened for a positive reason, you will get a positive and beneficial effect out of it instead of identifying it or defining it as a negative. That's all you have to do. That's the whole formula. There's nothing else to it. It's that simple. Does that help you?
Yes. Last one.
Yes.
When I was a child, I was taken somewhere in the water, in the ocean. I just have a memory. I don't know if it was a dream or what it was, but I was taken into the water, deep into the water, and into a cave. And when I got inside the cave, there was a bright light.
Yes.
The light seemed to me what I could remember as Mother Earth. Is there anything about that you could tell me?
Yes, very often, many of you will have different encounters. You will get shifted into a slightly different reality than what you are used to as a physical reality, and have encounters on that slightly different plane with many different kinds of beings. But the dreams that you may remember may be symbolic interpretations of what actually happened, because your physical mind can't either make sense out of what happened, or you are encouraged by those beings to have what is called a screen memory, so that when you wake up, you will just remember what seemed like a strange dream and won't actually remember what happened, because there are reasons why memorizing what happened may actually interfere with your life unfolding in a natural way. So what you're experiencing or describing is a screen memory that is typical of being taken aboard a type of ship, placed in a liquid immersion that allows for the shift to happen without damage to your body to a slightly different dimensional plane, and the light being the idea of an examination or a scanning beam upon you to determine your state of being. Does that help?
Do you know what the purpose of that was?
Yes, to determine your state of being, your state of energy, to see how you were progressing. Because you have made an agreement, like many of you, with these beings to be part of what we typically call the evolutionary hybridization agenda. Part of the evolution of the Earth becoming what we term the sixth hybrid race. So you're playing your part, and now and then there will be, well, checkups.
How am I doing? How am I doing?
You're doing fine.
More specific?
You're doing very fine.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Pleasant dreams to you.
Thank you.